Welcome and happy Monday, everyone. This is Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers. And I'm here today to help you build your absolute best cloud computing career. I've been in this tech field now, for a really long time, 25 years. And I've been helping others get their first tech job or get promoted in tech for more than 2 decades. And I want to make sure you get cloud hired, cloud promoted, and have the absolute best cloud computing career. Most people come to me to get their first cloud architect job or solution architect job. Whether you're looking for a cloud architect job, solution architect job, enterprise architect job, or even a cloud engineer job, I'm here to guide you so you can build your best cloud computing career. See, I know the secret. I know that if you follow the right path, you'll get far, far, far to your goals faster than others. How do I know this? Well, when I was practicing medicine many, many years ago, internal medicine, I should say, as a nurse practitioner, and I wanted to be a network engineer. 6 months later, I was a senior network engineer. Within 2 years, I was a principal engineer and then a principal architect. And I had to get you there as fast as possible. Almost every day, one of my students says, "Guess what, Mike? I'm cloud hired, and I've got lots of experience, and I love getting people hired." In fact, my mission in life is one simple thing: to get anybody that wants a cloud job, an elite cloud job that pays them more than they've ever dreamed possible, with a lifestyle that they love. And that's why I do this. I was retired, but I came out of retirement to help all of you get cloud hired. Now, today we're here to answer your cloud computing questions because I want to make sure that you know the shortest distance between 2 points, which is a straight line. I don't want to see you get certifications in 10 different people's career and then go on the interview for your job and not have the skills necessary, because I want you hired, I want you paid more, and I want you to have a rocket ship of a cloud computing career, one where you go and exceed everybody else, all of your peers, better, faster, and cheaper than anybody else. And that's why I do this. So please bring us your questions about your cloud computing career, anything for which way we can guide you, and make sure you get cloud hired. Because when you're looking for a cloud computing career, whether it be a solution architect career, enterprise architect career, architect career, because there's lots of cloud networking people, cloud architects, it's knowing what to study, knowing the role exactly, and learning the skills for your job. So please bring me your questions in the chat box. Ask me your question. In the chat box, tell me where you're from. I'm in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And give me a hashtag for the career you want. Hashtag cloud architect, hashtag cloud engineer. So we know who you are in our audience, because we want to cater to you and make you all super happy and have the best careers. While you're doing that, let me tell you about some free, amazing things we're going to do to help you get cloud hired. Well, on Thursday, we're going to have our How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar. We will tell you exactly how to get your first solution architect job or cloud architect job without experience. I've got students that get hired with no experience constantly, and I want to teach you exactly how to do it, exactly the skills you need, exactly how to bypass HR so you don't get auto-rejected, and exactly what you need to show the hiring manager to get hired. Now, people told me it's not possible to get a solution architect job as a first job. I get somebody hired every single day. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you such an example as Ivan Tamba. Ivan Tamba is an amazing, fine young man. He came to me while he was a college student working as a waiter. 6 months into our training, he's now working at AWS as a solution architect, and he loves it, loves it, loves it. And tomorrow night, he's going to tell you a day in the life of the architect, exactly what he does at AWS, and you can ask him any questions you have. He's been sharing information with so many people. He's a fine, fine, fine young man. He's big, believes he's 25 years old now. And boy, he may be 25, but you can feel his energy, enthusiasm, passion. He feels like he's a 40-year-old with experience and wisdom and capability. So come tomorrow and listen to Ivan Tamba and his first cloud architect job. Now, I want you all getting hired, right? And here's the thing. First, you need to be competent. If you're not competent, there's nothing anybody can do to get you hired. And you have to have the right attitude and skills and emotional intelligence and business acumen and leadership. But the key is, you got to pass this interview. I have never, ever in my entire career been in an interview where I didn't get an offer, ever. And I've been coaching people to pass the interview forever. So what am I going to do on Wednesday to help you? Free interview coaching. So we'll interview you, volunteer for the interview, send my team a link to register for this. And we'll only be able to take some people because we can't take everybody, but respond now to increase your chances of being interviewed, and I promise you a lot of you are going to be. You'll interview with me. I will tell you all the things you need to learn to get cloud hired. I will gauge your competency. I will gauge your communication skills. I will gauge your presence. And for these kind of things, all these things are coming wonderfully. So completely free on Thursday. Now, I saw the AWS certification materials that were out there, and I couldn't be more horrified. They were all in name of a service and how to configure that service, but they didn't explain what the services were. They didn't address any fundamentals. And I knew none of those people could be hired. How do I know? I interviewed 1,000 of them. And I don't want you to be in that position. So I'm going to do a completely free AWS Solution Architect Associate Bootcamp. It's going to cover the associate and parts of the professional because that's kind of what you need to know. It's going to be completely free because I don't want anybody paying for certification materials. Certification materials may help you get an interview, but they're not going to get you hired. You need special training and knowledge for that. And I want you to at least know what it is. And I want to make sure you learn in certification training. And it's not going to be some boring PowerPoint slides with blah, 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 blah. We would never do that. That's not acceptable in today's world. Truthfully, it's not even acceptable in 2005, let alone 2022. So we're going to be online. I'll present for 20 minutes and you can ask 10 minutes of questions the entire time. And that way I know you learn it. I know you get it. Because it's not just enough to listen to somebody. You need to be able to ask questions and truly get to your goals, because I want to know that you understand it. It's all about your competency, is all about understanding, and I'm going to help you do anything I can to help you get cloud hired. Register for that. The link is in the description below and the chat box. And next, more free. We're going to do an AWS Advanced Networking course in November, plus what you need to know. See, lots of people want to get that AWS Advanced Networking, but it's too basic to be functional. So we're going to add the things that you need. The switching concepts, some spanning tree concept, well, maybe some switching at least, VLANs, VLAN taggings, VLAN trunking. I'm going to get into BGP. We'll talk about the interplay between IBGP, internal BGP, plus the interior gateway protocols, which is critical for you need to know. We'll get into subnetting, supernetting, route optimization, aggregation. We'll get into a little bit of traffic engineering, all critical things which they don't cover in the AWS Advanced Networking, but you need to know it. So all this completely free because I wanted to get to cloud hard. So if you're here, give us a like, give us a comment in the chat box, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you'll be informed of all the good stuff we're doing for you. At this point, let me know where you're at and let me know exactly how I can help you build your best cloud computing career. So bring me your questions. Victor, it is so good to see you. Anthony Gonzalez, this is the best way to begin the week. Yes, Anthony, I totally with you. I love to connect to the community, and it's my happy way to start the week, too. Christopher Johnson. Hey, everybody. Chris is my amazing Chief Operating Officer. Lady Godiva, it's so good to see you today. VNHG, cool. Love having you here, VNHG. Lady Godiva, hi, Mike. Hope you're doing better. I'm still struggling with the voice, but I'm here fighting no matter what for the people and making sure that they're successful. I just want to get everybody hired. Trinicat, can cloud jobs be overtaken by automation in the future? Well, here's the thing. Everything is being automated, and we're getting to the point where I'm going to stop recommending cloud engineering careers based upon the economy right now. I'm working on it right now. I'm not 100% sure. There are some jobs that can't be automated, like our cloud architecture work and solution architecture work. And here's why. These are jobs that require a lot of executive communication skill, a lot of executive presence, a lot of emotional intelligence, a lot of leadership, a lot of sales skills, those kind of things. Business acumen, ROI modeling and forecasting, and these are not the kind of things that can be done via automation. So the cloud architect job is going to be critical. The solution architect jobs, they're not going anywhere. They're growing. And here's the reason why. People come to the cloud architect for digital transformation. How do I improve my business with regards to technology? That's what an architect does. And the more tech gets out there, the more complicated the tech gets out there, guess what? The more work for architects. So architects are going nowhere. Now, I wouldn't think you should worry so much about automation, and I'll tell you where automation is going to take place. It is taking place. And we're about outsourcing. So let's look at these jobs like DevOps engineering and cloud engineering and software development. They're all good careers, right? But let's think more pragmatically. In the US, we've had our quiet quitting thing, and we're at the lowest employee productivity levels we've had for years and actually decades, which means the companies are hiring more people to do the same amount of work. We've had it's not going on anymore, but recently we had the leave your job thing that was going on because people weren't happy with their current jobs. And we warn people, if you demand too much from your employer, they will make other arrangements. So now there's something going on quiet firing, which is not new. It's when you had an employee that tried to quiet quit or you don't like, you manage them out of the business by being mean to them and make them quit. We warned people this is going to happen and it's starting to occur. But architect jobs cannot be automated. Now, you can't really automate a cloud engineer's job or a DevOps engineer job either, but you can outsource them. You can outsource them to parts of the world where somebody's salary is $500 a month for a cloud engineer or a software developer for $300 to $500 a month. You can find them in lots of places and get somebody that's extremely competent. So in a recession or in a hyperinflationary environment like we have now, those hands-on engineering jobs, they're going to be outsourced. It happens every time there's a recession, and we see that. Now, where do the automation things actually take place? Well, there's no reason to have cloud admins anymore. Why? And we've never recommended cloud admin work, and that's why we've always told people to stay away from sysops and these types of careers. Why? Because we can have one DevOps engineer write a good infrastructure as code strip and replace 10 people in these admin jobs. But that's why we've always said, don't focus on sysops, don't focus on admin, try not to focus on help desk. Now, what we're really talking about now is, and it's going on, it is very hard in the U.S. to find an employee to find an employer to work. And here's the reason: we're in a tight labor market. And, for example, in my community, I didn't have trash pickup for like the last month. What was going on is they kept coming up and calling us, the workers, to called out of work. Recently, I tried going into a local restaurant, and they ran out of food service. They actually brought in a robot to deliver the food. Now, these types of hands-on manual things, they're getting replaced. For example, now when my trash gets picked up, instead of having 3 people in the back to lift the trash things and 1 person to drive, there's a person driving and there's a machine that automatically dumps the thing. So that kind of stuff is going to be automated. Taxi drivers and Uber drivers in the future, we don't need them. Why? We've got automated cars which can do those things. But the technology is all going to the cloud. And we can't automate the knowledge to put the pieces and parts to work together, because the stuff we get from computers, predictions, recommendations are not right. And in many cases, they're wrong completely. So we can't automate those. So yes, I see a lot more automation. Automation to replace, somebody picking up the phone with IVRs, and that's been going on for a long time. Integrated voice response, for example. We see a tremendous amount of outsourcing in the near future going on for the engineering careers to low-cost parts of the world. But here's what we don't see. Sales positions going away. Can't automate that. Architect positions, which are part of the sales team, are not going away. They're going to be increased. And actually, since the tech is so much easier, we're going to need less engineers and we're going to need more architects. And here's why. The architects aren't touching the technology. They're thinking about how the pieces and parts work together, and they're thinking about, how do I solve a business problem with technology? In what way can we put the pieces and parts together into an integrated end-to-end solution? Now those people are rare to find. I didn't realize what I was actually doing 25 years ago when I got in tech. One of the executives that's a president of a big tech company had told a friend of mine, Mike Gibbs was the best sales engineer I ever worked with. And I asked why. And he said, look, Mike wasn't bogged down touching the technology. He wasn't getting all geeky with the customers. He was entertaining clients. He was building relationships. He was convincing the customer they needed $1 billion solution to solve a business problem. And when they'd buy the $1 billion solution, the customer would make $3 and $4 billion in business value. He said, I was leading large teams and bringing out the best in others. You can't replace that. You can't replace that. So I warn anybody, if you're going into an engineering or coding career, it's not enough to just learn the tech. The tech's working now. It's not complicated like it used to be. It's taking leaders, people that can understand the technology and figure out what kind of tech. And I don't care whether it's an ice machine, a vacuum cleaner, or a big cloud architecture that can make that business perform better. And if we can do that, you will always be hired. But those hands-on engineering things, it's not that they're going to be replaced by tech. They're going to be basically offshored and outsourced to the lowest cost parts of the world. And guess what? In some of the lowest cost parts of the world, you have some people that are very hungry, highly educated, and will do anything to work. Like kind of an employer's dream hire, a manager's dream, because they're so grateful to work and so excited and enthusiastic and passionate about the work. So keep that in the back of your mind. But not automated. But things like cloud sales, things like cloud architecture, solution architecture, that can't go away. And that will be here for many decades to stay. Great question. Cookie Monster, I love that name. If someone wants to specialize in security as a cloud architect, should they get hands-on with infrastructure, basic knowledge of infrastructure sufficient? Cookie Monster, if you want to focus on security, focus on security. Now, granted, if you don't understand IP networking, you can't understand security. And when most security courses don't teach that, you can't get it. And here's why. You have to understand what's going on in the internet protocol and IP, because you need to understand what the packet's going to look like. You need to understand the package journey. And if you don't understand infrastructure, you can't do a lot of the high security things. There's lots of reasons we can't get the cloud to be as secure as a data center. Because we can do things like admission control with 802.1x and not even let things get on the network, for example, long before they reach the IAM. We can do QoS to make sure if there's a worm or a virus on the system that's there. In the data center, we could hire ex-Navy SEALs or snipers standing on the roof, making sure nobody breached the physical data center. We can't do those kind of things in the cloud. The cloud has many things to offer. So there's that. But you need to understand infrastructure to a degree. Because if you don't understand servers and server virtualization and operating systems, guess what? How are you going to protect those operating systems from being hacked? If you don't understand networking, how will you understand how people spoof IP addresses, for example? If you don't understand things in the IP header, you won't know how to hack or how hackers think. And you probably need to know a little bit about the hacking tools that are out there. Nmap, for example, Kali Linux, all those great security operating systems. You need to know some of those. But you got to remember, the architect itself is designing something, the end-to-end solution for security only. So the architect's not going to be focusing on other people's jobs if they want to be a security architect. They're going to be focusing on next generation firewalls and how to add them and what they do. Intrusion detection, intrusion prevention systems. Zero trust environments. They're going to be focusing on identity and access management systems to determine who users are, what they can do, and then how to track it. And next, they're going to be thinking about how to lock down the operating systems. What things need to be attached to the servers, what packages need to be removed, etc. Now, they're going to be looking at the end-to-end encryption strategy for the organization, whether that be encryption in transit, or server-side or client-side encryption, or encryption of the networking gears, because we need to focus on all of it. Now, the cloud security architect will need to be knowledgeable in data loss prevention and security event monitoring and event-driven security. So something needs to be able to correlate all the logs that are there and determine what's going on in case we don't find out otherwise. Now, the security architect is going to be focusing on things that are specific to the architect. So how do you design the security policy for the business, for example? And what kind of training, and you can build a training plan for the employees, anti-malware, anti-phishing, anti-social engineering. Right now, we really talked about a lot of things. That's security architecture. But also, with Cookie Monster, Cookie Monster gets cookies because he loves cookies. And that's why I like cookies so much that you always hear me using examples that begin with a C. I don't eat cookies, but I love the Cookie Monster. I even have a stuffed Cookie Monster that I bought from my mom because she really loves the stuffed Cookie Monster. She really loves the Cookie Monster. So kind of keep that. If you have to be able to convince the customer to buy your security solution. So what does that mean? It means quantifying the customer's exposure to risk and determining what is the risk that customer is facing. It also means quantifying the value of the assets you're protecting because you're not going to spend more than the asset's worth to protect it. And those are the kind of thing, and nobody's going to buy your solution when your solution is, $10 million or $50 million or $100 million because it's needed until you can show them that their exposure to risk is, was greater than that. So these are the kind of things that you need to focus on as a security architect. Great question, Cookie Monster. You know what? It's there. Now, do you need to get hands-on experience? These are architect roles. Architects don't touch the technology. No architect role is ever about hands-on experience. It's about knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. There's a difference between Cookie Monster and hands-on experience, which is configuring something. Configuring a firewall and a firewall. But that doesn't teach you how to design the end-to-end solution. And that's where the people that come from engineering or don't understand architect work don't understand. We don't touch the technology. We design it, present it, and sell it. Now, should you get hands-on experience? Well, I would. And here's the reason why. It's not going to teach you anything. And so imagine, we architects come from the building world. You got these building architects that design hotels and shopping malls and beautiful buildings. Now, they need knowledge in construction and building materials and things like that. Now, Cookie Monster, here's what hands-on experience would be. Here, architect, here's your hammer, nail driver, and screwdriver. Now, go do that for 10 years, get no training, and then you're going to design a hotel? I don't think so. So, look, get some, and that way when an employer asks, have you done it, you can say, sure, I have. But that's the only reason. So don't focus so much on touching the tech. Focus on so much on designing the tech, designing the end-to-end solution. Get practice writing with the security framework. Get practice being able to sell it, present it. That's the job of the architect. Great question, Cookie Monster. And CEOs for cookies, me crunch them a bunch, me eat them for dinner and breakfast and lunch. And then there are crumbs, cookie crumbs that are so yummy, me sweep them off table and into me tummy. Did you know the word carton begins with the C? That's the box cookies comes in and it tastes good to me. Now that's all the C words me got for the day, me getting my car now and me drive away. Hey, that's something I had to read to my sister, honestly, every 15 minutes for about 3 years straight because she was infatuated with the Cookie Monster. And somewhere along the lines, I became that way too. And that was her favorite Cookie Monster books. Lady Godiva, can you explain the hiring process? Are there multiple rounds and how long does it take to find out if you're hired? Lady Godiva, it's depending upon how good your interview is. And here's what I mean. If you're really a whiz in that first interview, they may push you through in less than 2 to 3 days. So I've had 5 jobs in my entire career. WorldCom hired me on the spot. Knight Securities hired me on the spot, and it was the largest market maker on the NASDAQ. Cisco hired me within 3 days, even though they normally take about 12 weeks more to hire somebody. I will then say that, where else did I work? Comcast hired me on the spot on my first meeting with them as a principal architect. And there was another company that I'm drawing a blank on right now that I worked at. Dimension Data hired me on the spot. So it depends on how good your interview is. Now, recently I had a student that went on an interview yesterday, never worked in tech in his life, doesn't matter. And the customers loved him so much that they said, look, we need to interview you this week. I'm sure lots of other people that are this good want to hire you. And there's that. So here's the hiring process. On average, there's usually a screener interview. Often the hiring manager could be, if you apply for the job, it's going to be HR. But if it's not, if you use our process, which is using recruiters, the first calls are typically going to be from the hiring manager. And it's going to be a get to know you call, feel you out, determine if it's worth bringing you in. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. And then after that, they'll have you meet with some key people, some key people. And at least for a cloud architect, there's always going to be a presentation, almost always going to be a presentation. They're never going to just ask you to touch the tech. There's no coding test. They're going to ask you, they're going to give you a scenario. They're going to ask you to design a solution. And you have to go present it and sell it back to them, because it's a design, present, sell job. And that's where most people can't get hired as a cloud architect. They've done all this worthless certification training. They've learned to configure everything. And then someone asks them to design an end-to-end solution. And first, they don't know how to do that. And they don't know how to present it like an executive. They don't know how to build a business case around it. And they don't know how to sell it to the customer. So the hiring process is usually multiple rounds. But if you're a rock star in an interview, it might be one. And Lady Godiva, I've seen your personality. You might be one of those people that can sneak through in one interview, get hired on the spot, or at least another 2 interviews very quickly. Because when you see someone that you truly like, someone with that great attitude, emotional intelligence, focus, and leadership skills, you'll look at them and you're like, I need that person on my team. And it's kind of like that love at first sight kind of thing, where you meet someone and you know you just need to be connected to them. Kind of like when I met my wife, we were married within 6 months. I just knew she was the right one from the second day. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to marry this woman. And I remember telling her that. We were together for like a week and I was never really cool. And I said, I'm going to marry you. And she looked at me and said, huh? I said, you're the one. I'm going to marry you. Let's keep dating. Because I knew. And 25 years later, I'm so grateful I asked her to marry me. And she was crazy enough to say yes. I'm really thankful for that. But there's that. So it depends on you. But typically speaking, there's going to be about 4 or 5 rounds. Now, as you get into more elite roles, whoa, that's going to change. I was going to work with a cloud computing company, and then I chose not to. And they had a really nice, leadership position for me there, director level leadership position. And I remember, I first spoke to somebody in HR as a screener. Then I spoke to the hiring manager. Then I spoke to the 3 executives. Then I spoke to the executive vice president. And then I spoke to the CEO. And they had told me it was going to take 6 months, but it only took 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks from the time I started till the time of the end. So these are kind of one of those things that it's all about, you. And can you connect with that person? Can you build rapport rapidly? Can you explain the technology? What is the tech? How does it work? Why does an organization use it? Can you present it? Can you show the right attitude, energy, enthusiasm, passion? You can do that. Yeah, it's going to increase you there. Because, Lady Godiva, hiring managers care about 2 things. The first one is, could you do the job? Can you do the job? But that's only 50%. The remaining 50% is, can they trust you? Do you know your limitations so you don't make big mistakes? Are you energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate about the work? Are you a positive influence that raises the energy of others in your organization? Or are you someone that sucks the energy out of the room with the negativity? The one that raises the energy gets hired. Are you willing to go above and beyond? And is that obvious to the employer? And lastly, are you a team player? Now, Lady Godiva, I know you. And you are all those wonderful things. So I expect some really exciting things in your future. And if it's really good, here's how you can usually tell, in my experience. Right after the interview, I write an email thanking them. And if I get a response within, 2 hours, thanking me and telling me there's a step moving forward, you can be pretty sure there's that. So the thank you email and the response will tell you a lot. But also, Lady Godiva, what is the body language telling you? We really love you. That is not a good thing. We really love you. We're excited about you. And we want to bring you forward. Good sign. Good sign. And Lady Godiva, I'll actually tell you how much practice I have on this, because, I've asked thousands of hiring managers over the years what do you want to. On my first tech job ever, a recruiter named Drago in Princeton, New Jersey, had sent me to interview with this person named Devendra at WorldCom. Now, WorldCom they're now Verizon, they used to do about 20 interviews per person. Well, I went on an interview, and the hiring manager really liked me. He sent me to talk to 2 other tech people, and he brought me back, asked me some more questions, and he hired me on the spot. In fact, he told me that I applied to be a network engineer, and that wasn't good enough, that I needed to be a senior network engineer, even though I had no experience. And what I had asked for pay-wise was not enough. I then called the recruiter Drago, and he literally laughed at me. He said, I will never send you on another interview. He said, clearly you couldn't read the hiring manager right. Clearly you couldn't read body language and communicate well. I promise you're never going to hear from them. And I said, Drago, I said, I'm an expert at reading body language. I used to practice internal medicine. I can read people, and I'm telling you this conversation. Well, within 15 minutes, Drago called me. And he says, oh my God, Mike, I'm really sorry. He said, I've been placing people at this organization and other ones, and I've never seen somebody get more money than they asked for and get hired in the same day by WorldCom. And he said, when I spoke to the hiring manager, he said he never saw anybody like you. He said that you were so well-spoken. Your communications skills were so good. You were so likable. He thought you were energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate, that he determined he couldn't live without you on his team. He said, even though you had no experience, he thought you were better than 2/3 of his people. So you're there. I'm sorry. Please call me if you ever want to change jobs. So there's that. And so that it's all based upon you, Lady Godiva, but I know your personality. And if you got that picture in the background of that cat with you, I think people will really, really love you. Actually, seriously, don't use the cat in an interview, but I think the cat that you use, when I see it, is a really nice background, a nice touch. Thanks for the question, Lady Godiva. Hello, everyone. Gear ZNet. Property guide. Where should typical network engineers start their career in the cloud, like network engineer or network cloud? So, property guide. It doesn't matter what you've done. What would you like to do? Look, I've gotten Daniel Bosa with no tech experience working as a waiter at Cloud Architect job. I've gotten Yvonne Tamba, who was another waiter, as a Cloud Architect job. I got Jennifer, a mental health tech. Her first job was a Cloud Architect job. I got Delroy Batt, whose last job was, for example, he was an EMT on ambulances. I had Jeffrey, a geologist that got one recently. So what do you want to do, property guy? It's not what you've done in your past. Now, I've got to tell you, I've taken a lot of network engineers and turned them into cloud architects and network architects. And I know a little bit about network engineering. My CCIE number is 7417. I was one of the first people to pass that monstrous 2-day CCIE exam before they made it easy and made it a single-day exam because the failure rate was too high. I worked for Cisco for about a decade and educated some of the systems engineers there as well. I trained systems engineers at Riverstone Networks, which is now Nokia. I've trained network engineers forever. So, and I was one for a while. And I was a principal network engineer within 2 years, at the time I even started tech. And I was a CCIE within a couple of months. So it depends, what do you want to do? I took Joe Millen very recently, made him a senior solution architect as his first cloud job, and he was a good, strong network engineer. That was his first job. So property guy, what do you want to do? You want to be a cloud engineer? Fine, you could become a cloud engineer. Do you want to be an automation engineer? Fine, you could be an automation engineer. But your past does not define your future. Look, yesterday my wife said, we're going to eat pizza. Now, I don't eat pizza because it's bad for you. I don't eat it, but she says, please, can we have it today? I woke up this morning, I felt like garbage. I had pizza with my wife. My stomach hurt. But you know what? I worked out, at least yoga in a 160-degree room. Now I feel great. And tonight, I'll skip the pizza. And I'll go back to my normal healthy paleo diet. But the point is what you ate for dinner yesterday is not going to affect you a month from now. There's no bearing on your life. What you did in your past career, mine was internal medicine. And my first job was a senior network engineer. Your past does not define your future, property guide. What would you like to do? And then I'll tell you how to get there. Not what your past has done. What do you want to do? That's how you define your future. What's going to make you happy? What's your goals? That's my recommendation, and always will be. Tell me that, I'll tell you how to get there. Akeem, hi Mike, you passed the Certified Solution Architect Associate with very little studying, and now you're set to take the professional. Is the professional a little harder or more verbiage? Look, Akeem, the professional to me is a basic intro to junior level cloud stuff, the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. It's not a hard exam. People that think it's hard because they've never done any heavy-duty exams, like a CCIE, for example, or a CCDE, or even a Cisco Certified Network Professional is literally speaking 20 times deeper than the Certified Solution Architect Professional. Now, Hakeem, I will tell you they make the test hard because they write the words, the questions so poorly. And they focus on nonsense minutia, on some proprietary stuff that you probably never use in your life anyway because it's not a solution you could use on multiple clouds. So they make a very simple introductory level exam challenging by the way they ask the questions. So I strongly recommend you get a practice test. Hakeem, I'm sure you passed the Certified Solution Architect Associate very easily because you've been through our training. And like we said, a couple of days prep for these exams. Now, 99% of the people out there thinks it's tough because they've never done anything in their life that's been really hard. So, kind of think about that for if you've not done a hard exam. Now, let's think about this. If, for example, you've done a CCNP, which is about 10,000 pages of reading to get there and knowledge to get there, and then you do a Certified Solution Architect Professional, which is about 500 pages of reading, you realize how nothing the exam actually is. It was 75,000 pages of reading to test my CCIE. So to me, this is something you spend a weekend on. I spent a weekend preparing for the Google Professional Cloud Architect, which most people find harder. And it was a nothing exam. So realistically speaking, it's based upon what you're used to. If you're out there just watching video courses, yeah, it's going to be a tough exam. But if you're designing stuff, presenting it, selling it, communicating it, and you truly understand how things work, and then, it's part of you, what is the underlying technology, and then you get a practice exam to get used to the crazy way these questions are asked, it'll be nothing for you. So for our students, this is nothing to pass. 99% of ours basically view this as nothing. Now, people that are trained by others will tell you that it's complicated, but we make complicated things simple. Ever since I was a young kid, and I took this pharmacology course, and I read this, ridiculous pharmacology book, and then there was one that said clinical pharmacology made ridiculously simple. I read that. It made all the complex simple to understand, and then poof, it was nothing. So Hakeem, you're going to do great. Daniel, hey all, good afternoon, Mike. Hope you're feeling better. I'm still a bit sick, but I'm working as hard as I can to make sure the world gets caught hard. Thank you so much, Daniel. Anakin, well, I'm spraying my throat with Chloraseptic every few minutes, and I'm trying to do the best I can. So hopefully my voice is strong enough for you guys today. Thank you, Anakin. James T. Hey, Mike, could you share how you build a budget-friendly home lab for cloud architecture? Absolutely, James T. What I would do is I'd go find a couple of used Dell 7910 workstations. Actually, just one would be enough for the average user. Make sure it has about 24 cores in it, 128 gigs of DRAM minimum, 3 SSD drives in RAID 0, and or an NVMe drive, and install VMware ESXi on it. Or you can install basic Linux hypervisor like KVM or QEMU, one of the two, and go out there and build some virtual machines on this, and you can build anything you want. You could do Kali Linux security testing. You can build a cloud on the system like this, set up some Active Directory servers, set up some web servers, create some proxy servers, VPN concentrators, firewalls. I love those Dell 7910. How many of them do I have? 11 of them in my house. 11. Some have more than 24 cores too, but I would do that. Or I would go find a Dell server from one of the places like the server store, for example. There's lots of good places where you can buy a refurbished service, but the server stores in Texas, and they're pretty good. I'd get something that's got the same specs as that workstation. Here's the thing with the server, though. It's like this giant pizza box that's like this long and that skinny. So it's kind of hard to put things in certain places. But the Dell 7910 is basically compact. It looks like a regular computer, and it'll really, really, really help you. And it doesn't make a lot of noise. So for me, with my wife doesn't like the sound of jet engines inside of the house. And some of the servers sound like jet engines, but not these workstations. They are very quiet. And I like that, especially because I have so many of them. And you could do anything on this. Networking things, you could put EV and G on this. Perfect solution. Chris, we'll go to the next one. So job offers are more like dating, emotional intelligence. Like you have all the skills and I'm good, but if you don't like my face, you don't hire me. I'm not sure I completely understand what you're trying to say there, Sonny, but it's a lot like dating. You got to go in there. You got to present your best self, show your energy, your enthusiasm, your passion, show how you can help that employer, prove your competency. And it's kind of like me when you meet your in-laws for the first time or your potential in-laws and they're sizing you up. Is this person going to treat my daughter or son properly? Are they loyal people? Are they trustworthy? Do we think they'll raise the kids properly? Do we think they can earn money? Do we think they come from a stable family and a stable background? Yes, it's just like that. But it's not just the emotional connection. And it depends on the job. So here's the thing. There's the competency in the skill, but it's also your likability. It's your leadership skills that make you stand out. Your executive presence that makes you stand out, for example. Your capabilities, for example, that makes it stand out. All these great things that separates you from the rest of the world. If I bring you on my team, how are you going to make my team better? How are you going to impact the results of everybody there? You're going to raise the energy. When it comes down to it, and I need you to stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning to get the job done, will you do it? Are you going to come up with a million reasons why you can't? Those are the kind of things that you use to prove to the employer they need you. When you do that, you'll be caught higher. It has nothing to do with your face, though. But it does have to do with your appearance. Meaning, are your clothes pressed? Or are they wrinkled? Did you put the suit on for the interview and prove to them that you cared enough to do it? Or you're going to be sloppy and put your t-shirt on or a golf shirt like this on. Don't do that on a real interview, regardless of whether they tell you how formal it is. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. These are the kind of things that we're looking to do. These are the things that we need to do. Prove to them we're the right person for the job. Chris, let's go to the next one. Around what time are the live classes for the Solution Architect program? There are Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, which is 3 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. in Nigeria. And those are some time zones where we got a lot of students. They are also 4 p.m. in Cameroon, where we have a tremendous number of students. But we've got lots of students in Central Europe at the same time. Now, after that, what do we have? We have Thursday's class, which is at 4 p.m. Eastern, which turns into 9 p.m. UK time, Nigeria time, 10 p.m. Central European time, Cameroon time, for example. And then we've got Friday's class. And on Friday's class, what do we have? It is at 1 p.m. Eastern, which makes it 6 p.m. UK time, Nigeria time, 7 p.m. Central European time, Cameroon, for example. We've based these times upon where the majority of our students are, which are North America, South America, England, Europe, Africa, and to some degree the Middle East. We have plenty of students, though, in Hong Kong and Singapore and Australia, New Zealand, and all these other places. And we'd love to work with you, King Leo 92. Like the name, by the way. Chris, we go to the next one. When does your training start? Like, how does it work? Great question, Big Jerry 23. I'll tell you one thing. The second someone signs up, they start. We're intentionally against batches for any reason, for any kind. And here's the reason why. I want to know that all my students are going to get hired. And batches, like other people do the following. They say, here you're with me for 16 weeks. And then guess what? Goodbye. We don't care if you're hired. We don't care if nothing good happens to you. We collected your money. So Big Jerry 23, we don't do anything like that. We have 3 parts of our program: a live component, and a pre-recorded component, and projects and labs. So let's talk about how that works. The second you sign up, all of our students get a welcome email. The welcome email does as follows: welcomes them to the program and tells them where to begin. Now, immediately, our students begin the pre-recorded content. And it's not like some kind of pre-recorded slides with audio voiceover. They're real videos. We invested in 6K video cameras, I'm not joking, to capture these high frame rates and made sure that our content looks good so you can pay attention to it. We use professional audio gear, professional video editing, professional lighting, everything, because we want to know that you're going to have the best cloud computing career. Now, what'll happen is you'll do a project, you'll watch a video, and there'll be an assignment. One of the first ones is the assignments is to tell me about yourself. Why? You get to learn about you, and it's already practicing you. Practice for the first question in your interview. Tell me about yourself. There'll be a career planning thing, and we'll help build your career plan and make sure you're successful. There'll be speeches and presentations you're going to give, for which we'll give you coaching on Slack. So all that occurs the moment you sign up. Now, next, what do? We bring you into the live classes, which are 3 times per week. Now, the live classes all stand alone. So, for example, every 16 weeks or so, we rotate the courses that we're doing. And that way, everybody gets through the program no matter what. So we'll start with something. Let's say tomorrow, our students do a big architecture. And the architecture is based upon a big bank. Stands alone. Thursday's class might be an architecture on a global retailer. And in the classes, we'll have people from 3 sets of different backgrounds. We will have senior people that are ready to get hired and they're in our program. People that are medium people that have been in the program for a couple of months that'll help the senior people. And then we're going to have the newbies that just signed up just yesterday. And they'll be watching and helping, for example. So we do architectures together and everybody learns from each other. And the students will stay in this program until they're hired. Now, of course, there's a lab element of our program. And this is because somewhere along the line, people are going to want to know, have you ever touched the technology before? So here's how we do it. We do the following. We have our students do about 25 Azure labs, 25 AWS labs, and then the real labs that get you hired. We will give you VPN access to our data center. And in our data center, you will work with servers and server virtualization, containers and container orchestration. You'll be building file servers, VPN concentrators, firewalls to learn how these systems work. You'll be building web applications like the LAMP stack in our system. Simple web app stuff, but still just to get a feel for it. You'll be building Active Directory servers to understand identity and access management. And Big Jerry 23, all of our students will be building a cloud from scratch. No, I don't mean configuring it. I mean building it. And here's why we do this. When you understand the whole cloud, you can work on anybody's cloud, anywhere and anytime. And these are the things that hiring managers care about. Can you do the job? Can they trust you? Do you know your strengths and weaknesses? Your energy, your enthusiasm, your passion, you're willing to go above and beyond, and you're being a team player. So now let's compare, and we use these things. And why do we do this? Because a student that builds a cloud shows competency, energy, enthusiasm, passion, and willingness to go above and beyond. And while everybody else is out there saying, I set up an S3 bucket, which I taught an 8-year-old to do in 5 minutes, our students can say, we can build your cloud. You can build a cloud with you. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. This is exactly what we do to get you hired. And I'm content, and I'm always caring about my students get hired. And that's why we let you stay in the program for up to a year. Look, nobody needs a year on our program to get hired, but let's just stay on our program for up to a year, because I know that anybody that does the work will have a job that changes their life for the better as soon as they're done. And I don't want to do batches. Our training starts the moment you sign up. And that way I can make certain that if you do the work, you'll be cloud hired. Big Jerry 23, I love that question. Chris, I've got about 5 minutes left in me. My voice is really starting to bother me, and I want to make sure that I can take care of the students next week with all that free training. So potentially one more, and then we need to stop, Chris. Ronald, what's the best way to transition from a career in risk compliance to a solution architect? Ronald, the best, fastest, and cheapest approach is to take our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. And Chris, I'm going to end on this question because it's a pretty detailed question, and that's about all my voice is going to handle. If you're not with us, you're going to have to learn the following things: networking, data center, and business. And I'll give you a list of all of them. The networking things that you need to learn are BGP, a little bit about interior gateway protocols, IP addressing, subnetting, supernetting, route summarization, route aggregation, switching, which includes VLAN, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, link aggregation groups, etc., etc., etc. It involves NAT, one-to-one NAT, one-to-many NAT, static NAT, dynamic NAT, and PAT. DNS, DHCP, ARP, proxy ARP, etc. Now, that's a good 10,000 pages of reading right there. Or if you take our course, we'll make it silly easy for you, because I've been teaching networking forever. Now, on the data center side, you're going to need to learn servers and server virtualization, containers and container orchestration, storage area networks such as block storage, object storage, and file storage. Not how to configure them, but how they work. You're going to have to learn about business applications that can transform a business, whether it be a CRM, ERP systems, unified communications, for example. You're going to have to get very familiar with relational and NoSQL databases. You're going to have to get very familiar with security protocols such as next generation firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, VPN concentrators, etc. Now, when you're done that, that's half of it. The next half is business. Now, we teach all the business skills in our Cloud Architect Career Development Program you need, or you can go get an MBA. I don't really care. I just want to tell you how to get hired. Ours is much better, faster, and cheaper because we teach you only what you need to know. But you're going to have to know how to sell by building a business case, showing the customer the value of your solution is greater than its cost, which means some ROI modeling. Now, you're going to have to be CXO relevant and know what you say to the CEO versus CTO versus CFO, because you're going to have to do that as part of your job to get your business requirements, but also to sell it. Now, you're going to have to be building teams of cloud engineers to go build this stuff. So you're going to have the leadership skills to manage a team of 50 people. Now, you're going to have something called executive presence to make sure that the customer sees you as reality. That's not covered in an MBA. For example, I had an MBA and took another $10,000, $25,000 to learn that executive presence. Now, you need to learn executive communication skills. That's not taught in an MBA. I took specific training for that. And what else do you need? High levels of emotional intelligence, because you're going to be basically managing a lot of people, and you're going to have to be dealing with your emotions and other people's emotions. And those are the things that you need to go to become a solution architect. This is not a career where you get a bunch of certifications and somebody's going to hire you, because certifications teach you the name of the service and how to configure it versus how to design an end-to-end picture to solve an organization's business problem. And then if you're not with us and you did the tech, you're still going to need architecture training, which is training about how to put the pieces together where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Ronald, this is the best job I've ever had. I've been an architect like now for over 20 years. I recommend it for absolutely anybody. And I'd love to get you cloud hired by helping you in our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. But that's how you do it. I've told you how to do it with us or on your own. Look, we only charge a single day's pay for the average working cloud architect because I don't need to work. And for me, I was retired. I came out of retirement to produce this program to get you all cloud hired. So everybody, can you give me a cloud hired in the chat box? Everyone that's here, I love you very much. And I can't wait to see you very soon. I'm just a little sick and need to rest my voice. So we're going to end here today. But guess what? I'll be back. to help you build your best cloud computing career. Take care, everyone.